Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're studying from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 13, and we've been reading along for some evening programs here. We're in text 34 of Chapter 13, Canto 10. Canto 10 is entitled the Summum Bonum, and today's June 22nd, 2020. Om Ganatmirandasya Gunanjana Shalakaya Chaksha Militamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtanam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamudbhakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Saitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vishabhanosute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Panchakalpati Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta praise for Bhadreshi Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Tamashloki Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. So text 34. Tata Pravaya So Gopas Tokashlesha Sunir Vrita Kichachaner Apagatas Taranusmrid Yudashrava. Thereafter, the elderly cowherd men, having obtained great feeling from embracing their sons, gradually and with great difficulty and reluctance ceased embracing them and returned to the forest. But as the men remembered their sons, tears began to roll down from their eyes. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In the beginning, the cowherd men were angry that the cows were being attracted by the calves. But when the men came down from the hill, they themselves were attracted by their sons, and therefore the men embraced them. To embrace one's son and smell his head are symptoms of affection. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Canto 10. Now we do have another copy of Canto 10, blue.
In the room,
I'm assuming it's on their shelves. It's the blue Bhagavatam. That wouldn't be it. And that set has Krishna book.
We just finished, we just started reading.
About 2 minutes ago.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Yeah, so this text 34 of chapter 13, it reads, thereafter the elderly cowherd men, having obtained great feeling from embracing their sons, gradually and with great difficulty and reluctance ceased embracing them and returned to the forest. But as the men remembered their sons, tears began to roll down from their eyes. So, very sweet transcendental affection. Text 35 reads, Rajasya Rama Premarder Bhikshat Kanja Manukshanam Muktastanesh Vapatyesh Vap Yahetu Vid Achintayat. Ramachandra Bhu, would you like to read?
Because of an increase of affection, the cows of constant attachment, even to those calves that were grown up and had stopped sucking milk from their mothers. When Baladev saw this attachment, he was unable to understand the reason for it, and thus he began to consider as follows, reported by Srila Prabhupada. The cows and younger cows who had started sucking milk from their mothers, and some of the cows had newly given birth. But now, because of love, the cows enthusiastically showed their affection for the older calves, which had left off milking. These calves were grown up, but still the mothers wanted to feed them. And therefore, Balaram was a little surprised, and he wanted to inquire from Krishna about the reason for their behavior. The mothers were actually more anxious to feed the older calves, although the new calves were present, because the older calves were extensions of Krishna. These surprising events were taking place by the manipulation of Yoga Maya. There are two Mayas working under the direction of the Krishna Mahamaya, of Krishna. Mahamaya, the energy of the material world, and Yoga Maya, the energy of the spiritual world. These uncommon events were taking place because of the influence of Yoga Maya. From the very day on which Brahma stole the calves and boys, Yoga Maya acted in such a way that the residents of Vrindavan, including even Lord Balaram, could not understand how Yoga Maya was working and causing such uncommon things to happen. But as Yoga Maya gradually acted, Balaram in particular was able to understand what was happening. Therefore, he inquired from Krishna.
We get this oneness and difference manifesting in so many ways. Because, but Balaram is Krishna. How could he be confused?
Well, he's not.
What's that?
Balaram was able to understand what was happening.
Well, at first, no. But then,
you can see it.
But then he thought about it. And they're all Krishna, and they're different personalities. So
particular was able to understand what was happening. That's why he inquired from Krishna.
Yes, of course. In the verse it says he was unable to understand. So we're catching Balaram in his process.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a process, in a sense, of transformation of realization.
Mm-hmm.
Text 36. Kim etad adbhutam eva vasudevi kilatmani rajasya satmanastoke apuram prema vardhate. Malini, would you like to read translation and purport?
What is this wonderful phenomenon? The affection of all the inhabitants of Raja, including me, toward these boys and cows increases as never before, just like our affection for Lord Krishna, the super soul of all living entities, including me, and actually including me.
Yes.
Purport by His Divine Grace, Prabhupada. This increase of affection was not mine, rather Because Krishna expanding himself as everything, and because the whole life of everyone in Vrindavan was meant for Krishna. The cows, because of affection for Krishna, had more affection for the older cows than for the new cows. And the men increased in their affection for their sons. Balaram was astonished to see all the residents of Vrindavan so affectionate towards their own children exactly as they had been for Krishna. Similarly, the cows had grown affectionate towards their cows as much as towards Krishna. Balaram was surprised to see the act of Yogamaya, therefore inquired from Krishna, "What is happening here? What is this mystery?" So it's such a nice meditation to think how, if Krishna is there, the attraction is there, regardless if we recognize Krishna or not.
Right.
If our heart is purified and we love Krishna, then wherever Krishna is, we are feeling affection and love and attraction for Krishna, regardless if we recognize Krishna or not.
Yes.
So in the sense, like the pure devotees in the material world he sees Krishna because Krishna's material energy as Krishna's energy and not separated from Krishna.
Yeah.
So that love is transcend forms.
Yeah. Well, and I think in a very this worldly way, well, Prabhupada sometimes uses the sort of negative analogy, like we can understand fire or not, but if a child touches fire, it will burn.
Mm-hmm.
So in a very this worldly way or not, like so many hundreds of thousands like that, millions. So like when Prabhupada came, so they heard the chanting, or they read something, read something in a book, like, oh, that doesn't make sense to me, but I'm attracted.
Yeah, correct. I did like that for me.
Right.
I didn't know. I didn't understand. I didn't understand. I didn't know, and it was really unusual for me.
As far in. Yeah.
I was just attracted.
Well, that's it. So that's it. It's Krishna in a form, because we're not recognizing. We're in Maya, so of course Balaram is not in Maya. But that's the same principle. Like the soul is naturally attracted. So we hear this transcendental sound vibration. We hear. Prasadam. Exactly. It's something's attractive. And then we see Mangalarti, read something from the philosophy, and even our material condition, emotionally, culturally, mentally, we make no, but the soul's attracted to Krishna.
Mm. Yeah, such a good point. Yeah.
Text 37. Kayamba kuta ayata daiviva narayukta suri prayo mayastu me vartur nanya me vivohimi. Who is this mystic power and where has she come from? Is she a demigod or a demoness? She must be the illusory energy of my master, Lord Krishna, for who else can bewilder me?
Mm-hmm. So Maya is stronger than Krishna.
Yes.
That's always a question.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a lot happening here. Of course, it's Maya. It's Yoga Maya. But also, okay. So because we had these discussions recently about like forgetfulness. So in a sense, Balaram, that Krishna is his brother. He's his younger brother. Krishna is his junior. But here, in a sense, Balaram is, what do we have there? Not sure. Okay. But Balaram he's coming out of that Yoga Maya, and he's realizing, Eklayeshvara Krishna, Arasabhavicha. Actually, Krishna is my master. So in one sense, he's coming to Vaikuntha consciousness, where Krishna is the master. Because in Vrindavan, Krishna is junior. Krishna is an inferior to Balaram. But he's coming out of that and he's coming to Vaikuntha consciousness.
Would you repeat?
Repeat?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Well, we talk about how Vaikuntha or Dvarka, that's the only place where there's no Maya. In the material world, there's Mahamaya, where we're forgetting Krishna. And then in Goloka Vrindavan, there's Yogamaya, where they think Krishna's my son, and Krishna's my brother, and Krishna's my friend, and Krishna's my lover, and like that. So that's also Maya. So Vaikuntha and Dvarka are the only place where there's no Maya, not Yogamaya. It means they realize.
Yogamaya in Burka, that group meaning knows Krishna is God.
Well, I'm generalizing.
Yeah. Okay.
Generalizing. That generally the inhabitants of Dvarka. Look, let's stick to Vaikuntha. You know, they're worshiping Vishnu as master.
Okay.
So there's no Maya there.
Yeah.
So Balaram, typically, he's in Vrindavan consciousness where Krishna is his younger brother.
Yeah.
But here, he's coming to, let's call it Vaikuntha consciousness. Actually, Krishna is my master.
Looking at Yogamaya as an energy of the Lord, and an energy that's so strong that can be with him.
Yeah.
And seeing Yogamaya as an energy of Krishna.
Right. Yeah, like Mother Yashoda came out of Goloka Vrindavan consciousness when she saw all the universes in Krishna's mouth. She said, oh, this is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm calling that Vaikuntha consciousness.
Yeah,
right.
I see what you mean now. Thank you for repeating.
So the verse again. Who is this mystic power and where has she come from? Is she a demigod or a demoness? She must be the illusory energy of my master, Lord Krishna, for who else can bewilder me? Purport. Balaram was surprised. This extraordinary show of affection, he thought, was something mystical, performed either by the demigods or some wonderful man. Otherwise, how could this wonderful change take place? This Maya might be some Rakshasi Maya, he thought. But how can Rakshasi Maya have any influence upon me? This is not possible.
You remember who he is also.
Yes. Therefore, it must be the Maya of Krishna. He thus concluded that the mystical change must have been caused by Krishna, whom Balaram considered his worshipable personality of Godhead. He thought it was arranged by Krishna and even I could not check its mystic power. Thus Balaram understood that all these boys and calves were only expansions of Krishna. Text 38. Iti sanchintya dasharo vasansavaya svalnapi sarvan achashta vaikuntam chakshusha vayunena sa. Ramachandra, would you like to read?
Thinking in this way, Lord Balaram was able to see with the eye of transcendental knowledge that all these cows and Krishna's friends were extensions of the form of Shri Krishna. Every individual is different. There are differences. There are even differences between twin brothers. Yet when Krishna expanded himself as the boy and calves, each boy and each calf appeared in its own original future, with the same individual way of acting, the same tendencies, the same color, the same dress, and so on. For Krishna manifested himself with all these differences. This was Krishna's opulence. I wonder to which opulence, because there are 6 opulences, right? So like, to which opulence we can categorize that potency of Krishna perfectly expanding himself.
Well, the first one that comes to me is power, strength, power. There's Yaksha Yogeshwara Krishna, master of all mystics. Yeah. Makes sense. Text 39. Naite Suresha Rishayo Nachaite Tvam Eva Pashisha Vid Ashrayet Sarvam Pritak Tvam Nikamat Katam Bade Yukten Avritam Prabhuna Palovait. Melanie, would you like to read?
Lord Baladev said, O Supreme Controller, these boys are not great demigods, as I previously thought, nor are these calves great sages like Narada. Now I can see that you alone are manifesting yourself in all varieties of differences. Although one, you are existing in the different forms of the calves and boys. Please briefly explain this to me. Having thus been requested by Lord Baladev, Krishna explained the whole situation, and Baladev understood it. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. Inquiring from Krishna about the actual situation, Lord Brahman said, My dear Krishna, in the beginning I thought that all these cows, calves, and cowherd boys were either great sages and saintly persons or demigods, but at the present it appears that they are actually your extensions. They are all you. You yourself are playing as the calves and cows and boys. What is the mystery of this situation? Where are those other calves and cows and boys gone? And where are you expanding? Why are you expanding yourself as the cows, calves, and boys? Will you kindly tell me what is the cause? At the request of Balaram, Krishna briefly explained the whole situation. All the calf and boys were stolen by Brahma, and now he was concealing the incident by expanding himself so that people will not know that the original cows, calves, and boys were missing. Balaram understood, therefore, that this was not Maya but Krishna's opulence. Krishna has all opulences, and this was but another opulence of Krishna. At first, Lord Balaram said, I thought these boys and calves were a display of the power of the great sages like Narada, but now I see that all these boys and calves are you. After inquiring from Krishna, Lord Brahman understood that Krishna himself had become many. That the Lord can do this is stated in the Brahma Samhita 333. Advaitam achyutam anadimanam tarupam. Also is one. He can expand himself in so many forms. According to the Vedic version, Ekam Bahushyam, he can expand himself into many thousands and millions, but still remain one. In that sense, everything is spiritual because everything is an expansion of Krishna. That is, everything is an expansion either of Krishna himself or of his potency. Because the potency is non-different from the potency and the potent are one. Shakti matter abeda. The Mayavadis, however, say Sat, Ashit, Samavaya. Spirit and matter are one. This is a wrong conception. Spirit Chit is different from matter acid, as explained by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita 7.4.5. Umira Bodhalovayim Kamprano Budi Evacha Ahankara Itityam Te Me Vina Prakriti Astada Apaye Yam Sasvayam Bhagati Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho Ye Yadam Dayate. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and force equal. Altogether, these eight comprise my separated material energies. But beside this inferior nature, O my dear Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which consists of all living entities, while struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. Spirit and matter cannot be made one, for actually they are superior and inferior energies. Yet the Mayavadi or Advaitavadis try to make them one. This is wrong. Also, spirit and matter ultimately come from the same one source. They cannot be made one. For example, there are many things that come from our bodies, but also they come from the same source. They cannot be made one. We should be careful to note that also the Supreme Source is one. Emanation from this source should be separately regarded as inferior and superior. The difference between the Mayavada and the Vaishnava philosophies is that the Vaishnava philosophy recognizes this fact. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu philosophy therefore is called Achinta Veda Veda, simultaneously oneness and difference. For example, fire and heat cannot be separated. For where there is fire, there is heat, and where there is heat, there is fire. Nonetheless, although we cannot touch fire, we can tolerate. Therefore, also they are one, they are different. Nice. There is the Vibhinamsa and the Hamsa, like expansion of the Lord. You would like to expand on that? You know, there is a different expansion of the Lord. And this example of the cow of boys and cows is given as an example. And then you have the expansion of Krishna for his Leela, and you have its expansion as a Jiva, and you have the expansion as a material energy, and you have the expansion when he expands himself in rasa dance, it's not there anymore, and you have the expansion when he expands himself. You know, there's so many ways that he expands himself, sometimes as like with all his queen in Dwarka, he expands himself with all his queen, but he's all Krishna is one expansion, he looks the same, but then he does different activities with everybody. And then there is this expansion of you have a sense of like it's expanding in different parts of the Chakamrita, nectar of a devotional life.
Yeah, well, the very first part of your question, I feel I could give a basically sound response to.
Okay.
And then where you went after that, I could also talk about it. But yeah, it goes to complexities and subtleties that I neither have memorized nor do I have realization about. But the first part of your question, I mean, is pretty straightforward. So Svamsa expansions means Vishnu Tattva, and Vibhinamsa expansions, they are the Jiva Tattva.
Okay.
They are Jiva. I mean, that's basic. We can get more complex. So my understanding is these cows and cowherd boys are Svamsa expansions. Vishnu Tattva. Yes. They're Vishnu Tattva. And so that's Svamsa Vibhinamsa. Yeah, I would say my understanding is, yes, Svamsa, that's Vishnu Tattva. So even Brahma and Shiva are Vibhinamsa, not Svamsa.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Shiva is a special Tattva, but he's not Vishnu Tattva.
No.
Okay, and then your questions went to, okay, so everything is an expansion of Krishna. Everything's an expansion of Krishna. And then so there's the Jiva expansion, Vibhinamsa, Vishnu expansion, Svamsa. All right. Well, then there's the whole science of avatar and the science of expansions. The science of avatar is relatively clear, at least in principle. And then there gets so many subtleties. Then there's other things like the Prabhava and the Vilas.
Mm-hmm.
And that I couldn't.
But that things the Prabhava and Vilas have to do with like Dwarka and Krishna.
And Balaram, Vasudeva, yeah.
Well, also Krishna dividing himself as like all his wife.
Yeah.
And Krishna dividing himself. I think that example is given in the Nectar devotion.
Yeah.
And Krishna dividing her as a calf and the calf and all that. Because that, that's Krishna then dividing himself, but still being Krishna with his character and personality on one hand, and he is dividing himself, but he doesn't keep his character and personality. He takes the character and like it's just here. He takes the character and personality of those different calves and different power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's Prabhav or Vilas, or that I don't have in my memory. The basic avatars, usually categorized as 6, sometimes as 7, and that's. Avatar means one who descends. So these cowherd boys and calves, they're not avatars, really. Like, they're not really descending to the material world. They're in.
It's like a replica of the spiritual world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, and then as far as the 6 or 7 types of avatars, my understanding is they're not mutually exclusive. Like some
there's overlap.
There's overlap.
Yeah.
And so that's the Purusha avatars who are the 3 Vishnus. And then there's the Guna avatars, that's Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva.
And they are avatar, but they are not Vishnu Tattva.
Vishnu is, but the other 2 are not.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's the Leela avatars. We're reading a lot about them in the 7th chapter of the 2nd canto. Many of them are described in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto and throughout Bhagavatam. And then there's the Manvantar avatars, once every 72 yuga cycles or so. And then there's the Yuga avatars, like Lord Chaitanya is the Yuga avatar for this yuga. And then there's the Shaktivesha avatars. We have Buddha, I think Prithu Maharaj, Jesus, Srila Prabhupada in that category. These are Jiva souls, especially in Bhava.
Even both Buddha, because there's a Buddha who is the Das avatar. So that Buddha is a Vishnu Tattva, isn't it? Only the Das avatar are not Vishnu Tattva?
Not necessarily. Because you're right, Buddha's there, but Buddha...
There's more than one Buddha.
Yeah.
One that's Satyavesha avatar and one is not the Vishnu Tattva avatar.
Well, the Buddha described in the Jayadev Goswami song is the Buddha who kind of stopped animal killing and things. That seems to be the one who appeared like 2,500 years ago. That's described in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto. And that Buddha, as far as I understand, is Jiva, Shaktivesha avatar. But Jayadev Goswami includes him. And then, so that's the 6 types of avatars. And then sometimes the 7th could be the Vibhuti avatars. Like all of those dozens described in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Amongst immovable things I in the Himalayas, amongst mountains of Mount Meru, amongst beasts I am the lion, amongst Pandavas I am the dragon. Yeah, so that all that Vibhuti, Yad Yad Vibhuti Matsatvam Shimad Urjitam Eva Tat Tat Eva Vagachatvam Namatisham Shasambhava. That Krishna says, know that all these glorious, mighty, and beautiful creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. So all of those examples given, they're Vibhuti, Yad Yad Vibhuti Ma. So that can be considered a 7th type. It's a very complex topic, but we can get some things about avatars, expansions.
So what make a difference, like in a nectar of devotion, it's like it's all calculated by number of qualities, because it's all expansion of Krishna, part and parcel of Krishna. So, like the distinction between Jiva and Vishnu is just from the number of qualities.
Well, I think that's an accurate way to distinguish. A Jiva Tattva has up to 50 qualities, and like Brahma, who's a Guna avatar and the head of our Sampradaya, has those 50 qualities as full as a Jiva can have them. Shiva has 55, and then the Vishnu Tattvas, like Narayan, have 60. Only Krishna has the 64.
Yeah. So in that situation, then it seems that the difference of all the expansion is qualitative, but then there is also the quantitative difference that Prabhupada often point out that the Lord is infinite and we are infinitesimal.
Mm.
So it seems that there is a two,
Yeah.
like, okay, Krishna, we can call everybody Vishnu Tattva on one hand, because it's all expansion of Vishnu. But then to be technically called Vishnu Tattva, you need the 64 quality.
No,
of
60.
Krishna. 60 quality of Krishna.
Yeah.
So that qualitative, but quantitatively, is there is any, besides infinite and infinitesimal?
Yeah, well, the Jiva Tattva is always infinitesimal, but through that pure devotion, we connect with the infinite. Prabhupada gives the example, an interesting example. He said like this, like if a car or a bus is riding, and the car and the bus, it can go 80 miles an hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he said like, okay, I could be on my little scooter, which like maybe can go 15 miles an hour.
It's a bicycle.
Bicycle, yeah, okay. Yeah, an unmotorized vehicle. But if I catch on, okay, then I in a sense, I can go to the same speed.
The car.
Yeah, as a car. Prabhupada gives that example. So the infinitesimal Jiva connected in that pure devotion with Vishnu Tattva, then becomes infinite. Yeah.
Become Vishnu Tattva. So when it's separated, it's not Vishnu Tattva, but when it's connected, it's Vishnu Tattva. In that sense.
Linguistically, I've never heard Prabhupada say the Jiva becomes Vishnu Tattva, but
yeah.
But so linguistically, I wouldn't say it that way. But the Jiva, the Jiva becomes empowered to act like Vishnu, Vishnu Tattva.
Yeah. Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah, and then because we know how many thousands of times does Prabhupada go to Mayavadi, Achincha Beta Beta Tattva. And in one sense, it's like simple, but to get it requires devotion and sincerity. It's just like, yeah, these examples, they're simple because they're almost like obvious, but they're simple to help us understand our relation with Krishna and the relation of all the energies with Krishna. So just like, okay, sun rays and sun. So, okay, so it's understood that the sun rays are one with the sun. They're both bright and radiant and shiny. They're the same. But we can easily understand, but the sun rays, they're exactly like the sun. Oh, no, the sun's huge and the sun rays are, and this also it's easy to understand. So it's easy to understand the sun rays are different from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
They're different, right? Because the sun rays their source is the sun, but it's not that the sun source is the sun rays. Sun rays are a little photon of light, and the sun has trillions and trillions of watts like that. So sun rays are different. So they're completely different. There's no similarity. No, they're not completely different. So there's a sameness and there's a difference. Another analogy, just like, okay, if there's an ambassador representing in old times the king, in modern times representing the president. So we can see, well, the ambassador and the king are one. And the ambassador might be honored like the king, and you're speaking to the ambassador like that. So, okay, so the ambassador is exactly like the king. No, there's obviously a difference. The ambassador doesn't have the power. So it's completely different. So it's just sort of like, in one sense, it's common sense. And, but because we don't want to get it, like if we want to get anything about God, then, okay, then it's the one white light. I get to be God, because we don't want to get it. So we don't get the simple common sense.
Yeah. Well, here's an analogy. It's not easy to understand. Like the fire is eaten. Fire and heat are not separated. Totally. For example, fire and heat cannot be separated. For where there is fire, there is heat, and where there is heat, there is fire. So that, as the Mayavadi, they are saying that the material and the spiritual energy are all one, but they are not all one. They are coming from the same source, Prabhupada said, and they don't understand that they are one in sources, but they are not one in quality. And then he said,
and they're not one in function.
And they are one in function. And whether it is fire, nonetheless, also we cannot touch fire, it we can tolerate. It's an interesting analogy. Start to understand that analogy for me.
Yeah, well, they're one, but so fire and heat are one. So they're exactly the same? No, because like if there's some heat, it comes from fire. But yeah, and we can tolerate it. It feels nice even if it's like 70 degrees. But if we touch fire, then it's painful. That's like Lord Chaitanya's mother. So Lord Chaitanya was saying, well, I'm eating earth. What's the problem? All these vegetables and fruits, they all come from earth. They're nothing but transformed earth.
Yeah.
So she said, well, okay, yeah, they're one and they're different. Because if you eat earth, you'll get sick. And if you eat the vegetables, you'll be healthy. So not completely.
Oh, I see. Like the analogy is again like it's one and different.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Text 40. Tavad etyat mabur atma manena chuchyanena purovad abdam kridantam dadrise sakaram harim. When Lord Brahma returned after a moment of time had passed according to his own measurement, he saw that although by human measurement a complete year had passed, Lord Krishna, after all that time, was engaged just as before in playing with the boys and calves, who were his expansions.
He was playing with himself. Well, he was playing with himself before too. Yeah.
In what sense?
Because the cow boys and calves are his expansion. So he always plays with himself.
Like the jiva.
Yeah.
So Lord, it's really a fraction of a second. If we want to take it down to one Earth year, what's that in Brahma's time?
It's so quick.
It's not like 2 or 3 seconds. It's not even like a half a second. It gets down to like a billionth of a second or less. It's really short. So yeah, it's probably less than an eye blink. Just so we get the perspective.
But that means that Brahma in his time he moved very fast. You get what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he was moving normal, like he took them away, and then
No, if he was moving normal, then just gathering the calves and put them in a cave and closing the cave with a rock would have taken at least a few minutes minimum if it was just work. And that those few minutes will be hundreds of years on Earth. You see what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So he must have moved super quick.
Right.
From his time, in his time frame.
Yes.
For that, for the stealing to happen, and is moving in one moment to be one year on Earth. That means he was moving super fast, like ninja.
Yes. Yes. Very slick.
Yeah, well, super slick. Less than a second to do all that. That's super slick.
Lord Brahma had gone away for only a moment of his time, but when he returned, a year of human time had passed. On different planets, the calculation of time is different. To give an example, a man-made satellite may orbit the Earth in an hour and 25 minutes and thus complete one full day, although a day ordinarily takes 24 hours for those living on Earth. Therefore, what was but a moment for Brahma was 1 year on earth. Krishna continued to expand himself in so many forms for 1 year, but by the arrangement of Yoga Maya, no one could understand this but Balaram. After 1 moment of Brahma's calculation, Brahma came back to see the fun caused by his stealing the boys and calves. But he was also afraid that he was playing with fire. Krishna was his master, and he had played mischief for fun by taking away Krishna's calves and boys. He was really anxious, so he did not stay away very long. He came back after a moment of his calculation. When Brahma returned, he saw that all the boys, calves, and cows were playing with Krishna in the same way as when he had come upon them. By Krishna's display of Yoga Maya, the same pastimes were going on without any change. On the day when Lord Brahma had first come, Baladev could not go with Krishna and the cowherd boys, for it was his birthday, and his mother had kept him back for the proper ceremonial bath called Shantika Snana. Therefore, Lord Baladev was not taken by Brahma at that time. Now, 1 year later, Brahma returned, and because he returned on exactly the same day, Baladev was again kept at home for his birthday. Therefore, although this verse mentions that Brahma saw Krishna and all the cowherd boys, Baladev is not mentioned. It was 5 or 6 days earlier that Baladev had inquired from Krishna about the extraordinary affection of the cows and cowherd men. But now, when Brahma returned, Brahma saw all the calves and cowherd boys playing with Krishna as expansions of Krishna, but he did not see Baladev. As in the previous year, Lord Baladev did not go to the woods on that day, on the day that Lord Brahma appeared there. So it seemed Balaram was bewildered in Yogamaya for almost a complete year. It was only in the last days of the year.
Yeah, it seems that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
He was confused by Yoga Maya for someone.
Yeah.
Is that true that a man-made satellite can go around the orbit of the Earth in an hour and 25 minutes? That sounds so quick. Because the orbit of the Earth is even bigger than the Earth.
That sounds about correct, though. Yeah.
How can it be?
How could it be?
Yeah.
Well, my understanding is like once these spaceships get going,
Yeah.
they can go 25,000 miles per hour. Right?
When they are on orbit?
Yeah. That's my understanding. They can go, of course, it takes a lot of energy to get out of the pull of gravity. So the circumference of the Earth is 25,000 miles. Yeah. So what I heard, and I'm not up on things, but even back in the 70s, I think, like airplanes go like 800 miles per hour, something like that. And I think spaceships, once they're in space, can go like 25,000 miles per hour. That's my understanding. So I think that's accurate.
But it will be bigger anyway. Because even if it's 25,000 miles, it will take longer than that because the orbit is bigger than Earth.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at 25, so the circumference of the Earth is about 25,000 miles.
Yeah.
So to go 25,000 miles, that would take an hour if you're going like that. So Prabhupada says an hour and 25 minutes. So the 25 minutes would sort of account that the orbit is more than 25 seconds. Yeah. So that sounds pretty accurate. Yeah, it seems like when Prabhupada's first book, of course, is Easy Journey to Other Planets. And so he clearly had a fascination and he studied these things about the Sputnik. I mean, he studied these things, yeah. He talks about Einstein's relativity and things like that. So he got into these things. Want to continue?
What time is it?
It's 7 minutes before 8 o'clock.
Oh, yes, one or two more. Yeah.
Okay. Takes 41. Yavanto kukule bala savatsa sarva evahi maya shaye me shayana me nadya pipuna utita. Ramachandra, would you like to read?
Lord Brahma thought, whatever boys and calves there were in Gokula, I have kept them sleeping in the bed on the bed of my mystic potency. And to this very day they have not yet risen again. Report of Sri Prabhupada. For 1 year, Lord Brahma kept the calves and boys lying down in the cave by his mystic power. I remember there is actually a hellish planet like that, right? If someone locks someone in a cave.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Interesting, all the demigod things. Therefore, when Brahma saw Lord Krishna still playing with all the cows and calves, he began trying to reason about what was happening. What is this? He thought, maybe I took those calves and cowherd boys away, but now they have been taken from the cave. Is this what has happened? Is this what has happened? Has Krishna brought them back here? Then, however, Lord Brahma saw that the cows and boys he had taken were still in the same mystic Maya into which he had put them. Thus he concluded that the cows and cowherd boys now playing with Krishna were different from the ones in the cave. He could understand that although the original cows and boys were still in the cave where he had put them, Krishna had expanded himself, and so the present demonstration of the cows and boys consisted of expansions of Krishna. They had the same features, same mentality, and the same intentions, but they were all Krishna.
So he's getting really bewildered here.
But we can see he has mystic power.
Oh, yes.
Like, you know, like Lord Brahma, of course, he has mystic power. He's a master of all mystic powers.
Yeah.
He has any mystic powers that we can get, he has all of them. I imagine.
Yes.
So probably the one moment, it's just like he steal the calf through mystic power. And same thing, he sees them through mystic power. Not like he went to the cave. You know, my mind is thinking like a human being, but he's not a human being.
He didn't need to walk to the cave.
He didn't need to take a walk to the cave because that would have taken a long time. Yeah, it's quite amazing.
Text 42.
Awakening.
Ita ite tra kutratya manmaya mohite tare tavanta eva tatraptam kridanto vishnuna samam.
A similar numbers of boys and cows have been playing with Krishna for 1 whole year, yet they are different from the ones illusions by my mystic potency. Who are they? Where did they come from? Purple is different places, back to different type. Also appearing like cows and cowherd boys. But Prabhupada say always cows, even so there is no, like, in a translation, there is only boys and cows. But each time in the purpose, Prabhupada add cows. Did you notice that? Or the previous purpose also is the cows. It's the cows and boys. Cow, calves and boys. Cow, calves and boys.
Well, in text 41, the verse and purport seems to just mention calves and boys.
Cow and cow, but in the previous one, it's a 3 times cow.
Yeah. So sometimes cows are mentioned.
Yeah. Like in the previous, he said like 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm. And in this one, 42, in the purport he mentions cows, but not in the verse.
Yeah, the original cow are boys and cows. He thought, well, in that situation, cows will be the cow. He thought, are still where I put them last year. So who is it that is now keeping company with Krishna exactly as before? Where have they come from? Where have they come from? Brahma was surprised that his mystic power had been neglected. without touching the original cows and cowherd boys kept by Brahma. Krishna had created another assembly of calves and boys, who were all expansion of Vishnu Tattva, because Brahma's mystic power was superseded. That's funny.
It's funny.
Yeah, he has superpower, more power than anybody else, and then he's got just purely power.
Well, he was trying to just have some fun, really like play some joke on Krishna.
Yeah.
And then Krishna said, okay, let's have some fun.
Let's have fun.
So let's read one more verse. One more, and then bring it to a close.
Yeah.
Text 43. Evam eteshu vedeshu chiram tyatva sa atmabhu satyake katare neti gatum niste katanchana. Thus Lord Brahma, thinking and thinking for a long time, tried to distinguish between those two sets of boys who were each separately existing. He tried to understand who was real and who was not real, but he couldn't understand at all. Purport. Brahma was puzzled. The original boys and calves are still sleeping as I have kept them, he thought, but another set is here playing with Krishna. How has this happened? Brahma could not grasp what was happening, which boys were real and which were not real. Brahma was unable to come to any definite conclusion. He pondered the matter for a long while. How can there be two sets of calves and boys at the same time? Have the boys and calves here been created by Krishna, or has Krishna created the ones lying asleep, or are both merely creations of Krishna?
That's confusing, yeah.
Brahma thought about the subject in many different ways. After I go to the cave and see that the boys and calves are still there, does Krishna go take them away and put them here so that I come here and see them? And does Krishna then take them from here and put them there? Brahma could not figure out how there could be two sets of calves and cowherd boys exactly alike. Although thinking and thinking, he could not understand at all.
Mm. So what timing are we speaking about here? It's kind of confusing, you know. The timing are really confusing.
In what way?
Well, like when Brahma steals the cows and the calf and the cow boy, he says it's a moment of Brahma that lasted for a year in Krishna's life on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
And here it says that he fought and he fought and he fought for a very long time.
Yeah.
So what time is it?
I think we're talking about what we would call ordinary Earth time. And
So why the first time was an Earth time and the second time is Earth time?
Yeah. Well, it seems like Brahma, he's a much higher dimensional being than Earth. So he can come into Earth time. He can come into Earth time. And he can also go into Satyaloka time. So Earth consciousness can't go to Satyaloka time, but he can come here. And it says, in his thinking, he says, after I go to the cave and see that the boys and calves are still there, he's saying, is there one set in Krishna? Like when I'm there, Krishna puts them there, but when then I go, then they're back there. They're not there anymore. So he does go to the cave. So my understanding is he might actually physically go to the cave, but he wouldn't need to he's a yogi, so he wouldn't need to walk there. He could go there practically instantaneously.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is okay, my understanding is like this. So when Brahma, in relation to what I understand you're asking, when Brahma is stealing the calves and boys, that, and also a year later, when Brahma is saying, let's have some fun, then Brahma is entering into Earth time. He's entering into the experience of Earth time, Earth dimension, at those two junctures. In between, In between, he went to Satyaloka time. And in Satyaloka time, that year is a fraction of a second.
So what you're saying is, he stole the calf, put him he stole the calf, put him in a cave.
Yeah.
That's Earth's time.
Yeah.
And after he did that, he go back, mystically, he go back. And then he's in his Satyaloka time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stay there. It come right back from Satyaloka's time. But Satyaloka's time was 1 year on Earth.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back after a moment in Satyaloka's time, 1 year had passed. And then, but when he comes back again, he's on the earthly time. So when he's speaking back and forth and for a very long time, here, that's in the Bhagavatam, it's a very long time, earthly time.
Earth time.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think there's like a opposite, like a parallel pastime with this Kshatriya that was fighting for Lord Brahma, and he stayed there, and then when he wanted to go back, Lord Brahma was laughing, or he went there to find a wife, and he was asked to wait.
Kakudmi, I think the name was Kakudmi or something.
From his son.
And he was waiting for him to finish the bhajan.
There was a Gandharva musical concert.
Yeah. And then Lord Brahma was laughing.
Yes.
Everyone is dead already on earth. They don't remember the people who remember.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. That's another time dimension pastime. I think his name is Maharaj Kakudmi. Exactly. And then he said, "Oh, okay," because he fought for the demigods. So he came to visit Brahma, just like you're saying, and then it was like, "Oh, well, Brahma's he's listening to a concert." So
just wait a second.
Just wait a second. Just wait a few minutes. And then as he said, "Okay, so I want a nice husband for my daughter." Brahma started laughing. But when you go back to Earth, there's no one who will remember anyone who remembered anyone who remembers any of the princes you have in mind for your daughter. It's like 80,000 years later. There's that. So there's that one, Kukudmi. There's this one. 12th canto, there's the story of Markandeya Rishi. He travels in time. He travels in time, and he goes to the time. He travels forward in time to the time of the annihilation, when Krishna is in that inundation, when everything's flooded by water, and Krishna, in the form of baby Krishna, is on a lotus flower sucking his own toe.
That famous picture.
Yeah, Devahuti has that. Devahuti speaks about that in the 3rd canto, but that it's described in the 12th canto. So it's another time travel. And he travels forward in time. Markandeya Rishi.
Fascinating.
It's interesting how with all the bewilderment that Lord Brahma is experiencing, he knows that Krishna is tricking him somehow.
He has some sense, yeah.
Yeah, he knows something is wrong there. Like Krishna did something.
Yeah. My trick did something. Yeah. My trick didn't really work here.
I'm how Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I'm the cheater of the cheat.
Yes, well, amongst gambling, I am cheat. Amongst cheaters, I am a gambler. Yeah, so he's the greatest trickster.
Yes.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
You have your third one.